Okay, so I just said to my followers my beautiful, loyal, darling followers, that I wouldn't be doing a video this week, and I gave them an update via my Patreon instead, because I'm really fucking busy. But I'm going to do this video anyway, and it's going to be of the short and snappy persuasion. I've got to do it because I need to put this developing story into the hands of other people. You need to know what's going on here, and someone else needs to do something about it. I can't have my usual business when it comes to fringe politics where I sit there inboxing fucking 10 journalists who all go, oh, maybe we can take a look at it later. You need to take a look at it now. Someone fucking does. So here's the situation. I went to Canberra earlier this week and I cosplayed and I went to an anti-lockdown event, okay? So when I was standing there, I filmed Sovereign Citizen and leader of the OSTF, who you may recall if you've seen my Sovereign Citizens Part 2 video, I talked about him, Mark McMurtry. He was there with a bunch of other Sov-Cits standing on a truck speaking, and he said a bunch of anti-Semitic bullshit. I clipped that bit and I shared it. Here's what he said.
And I notice there's a lot of people here today wandering around with the red and the blue flags. That piece of shit that's in the corner of that flag is the Union Jack, the Union of Jacob. It represents three Hebrew tribal flags. And if you're worried about standing under the Jews and what they represent, that's what you're standing under when you carry that flag. Okay?
Now again, this was a UAP event. And I characterised it as such when I posted about it on Twitter. Plus 61J, a Jewish media outlet, not mainstream media by any means, contacted him for a statement because, it's pretty clear-cut fucking, bullshit anti-Semitism. And he said to them, our event commenced at 5 a.m. and we packed up at around 10 a.m. Separately, another group organised a protest which they brought a stage on the back of a truck. This was not a UAP event. We have no control over them directly or indirectly. I was advised that this protest was about the forced injection mandates, a follow-up to an earlier protest back in February. As such, I accepted an invitation to speak and I promoted my attendance to our members. UAP members were there as they stayed after our event finished. The UAP had no control over who was invited to speak, and we were not informed that Mr. McMurtry was invited to speak. Here is a flyer from the UAP page in days previously. Look at that. Does that look like a UAP rally? Good. Do you agree? Yes. Okay. Here is a video from the UAP page or an associated UAP candidate page from that morning in which they tour through. Now, this all looks a bit fancy, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a series of massive billion-dollar notes that they printed up. Quite expensive, quite flashy. Here's me holding one. They printed this to demonstrate that the government has $1 trillion of debt, and they also created these big fake stacks of dollar bills. This is Clive Palmer rolling out his impressive budgetary spend, on his UAP campaign. This is, for all intents and purposes, a UAP event. Can we agree on that? Because it says that the headline speaker of this UAP event, as plugged on the UAP page, is Craig Kelly. What Craig is attempting to do here is to capitalise and to weasel out of responsibility given the shambolic, decentralised nature of the anti-lockdown movement. But he doesn't get to do that. It's their rally, for one. Two, as we just established, they went to extraordinary lengths with the props and such. So it's all funded by UAP, definitely their event. 3, Mark spoke at the event according to my timestamp, because remember, I'm not just making stuff up or looking at live streams that I don't understand here. I'm sitting there in the crowd looking at this shit. Mark spoke at about 11:50 a.m. Craig Kelly spoke after him at about 12:40 p.m. This shit all happens on the same stage. I don't know what they're talking about with different trucks and shit. That's the same fucking truck. It's a truck. You know what, frankly, I don't give a fuck if it was 5 different trucks there. I don't care if UAP's event had fucking a whole convoy of trucks, all with different clashing speakers, all shouting over each other, trying to get a word in edgeways. If it's a UAP event, he has to take responsibility for the lead speakers who were given space there. That's just how responsibility works. If it's your event, the things that happen on the stage, the one stage at your event, are your responsibility. Honestly, if I dig into my heart and I'm honest with myself, the only reason I can think of that this wouldn't be a bigger news story is because we expect them to host a bunch of anti-Semites and losers because of their dabbling in the anti-lockdown movement for a while now. But if it wasn't a story before worthy of bigger coverage when it was just one anti-lockdown parasite being an anti-Semite at an event, surely now that the lead candidate for that party has come out, basically their leader, has come out and said, oh no, I didn't know about that, that's not our job. It should be a bigger story. I know that Clive Palmer has a fucking press club speech coming up at some point in April. He needs to be asked about this. Let's not all get too used to the subject of anti-Semitism just because we see the political fringe doing it for years upon years in Australia. This is worth talking about. I can't do it because I'm too busy. I shouldn't even be doing this video. I'm that fucking busy. Please get onto it. Please, someone else, talk about it. Talk about it on Twitter. Ask Craig Kelly. He has me blocked. I don't give a fuck. I don't use it as a fucking badge of honour when someone blocks me. I'd rather he hadn't so that I could ask him this question. But of course he has, because he's a fucking weasel. But other people should ask him. They should ask Clive Palmer when they get the opportunity to in public. And they should publicise this. Please share this around. Or rip it off me and just pretend you came up with it. I don't mind. I just need people to ask these parasites who have parasitised the anti-lockdown movement for political gain since, for a year or two now. I need them to take account and take responsibility for when they openly host anti-Semites. Thank you. See you next week when I have more time to do a slightly less annoyed video.